Well, a very good morning to you. It's just past the hour of 9 o'clock on Felixstowe Radio. That's 107.5 FM. We're off again today on Wednesday, the 25th of November. Heavens above, just a month from Christmas, and we shan't mention that again. And we're running till 10 o'clock with Felixstowe on Felixstowe. My name's Chris Gosling. I've got some views, some questions, some opinions. See what you think, and if you want to, let me know what you think. The Shadows. I like the Shadows, and I think we're going to start with a different Shadows song every Wednesday morning. And today, what have we got on Felixstowe? Well, heavens above, we got the trains back on Monday. Wasn't that lovely? And then they've started to cancel them again, apparently, according to what I hear. Yesterday there were a couple of trains at least cancelled. If you know more, if you know better, let me know on Felixstowe on Facebook and tell me what happened, or alternatively you can give us a text on 011 385 90690. Start your message with FXR. What happened on the trains yesterday? What went wrong? We don't know. Maybe you do. Maybe you could tell us all. What happened to the trains yesterday running between Felixstowe and Ipswich? Looking back to last week's show, we were chatting about the boating lake and the kart track. They're going to be ripped up and made into a car park and an events space. How creative is that? I'd love to know what you think. Okay, finally, what about your own business? Now, a lady called Jenny, I think Jenny Dyke, asked on a local Felixstowe Facebook page, what kind of shops and retail outlets does Felixstowe need? She got a lot of answers. But some of them were, well, pretty well things that have been tried before and never worked. What do you think? I'd love to have your opinion. Tell us. You can get through to us on Felixstowe on Facebook. That's the best way to do it. Okay, now let's go for the Bangles. The Bangles. Do you remember them? I thought they were excellent, really nice. The Bangles, do you remember them? Thought they were really nice. Excellent. Okay, just seen a note from a lady who was asking on Facebook, any news on the possible tidal surge that's been predicted for today and tomorrow morning? Well, lady, I think your name is Chris. Now that's a nice name. The fact is that it's all been downgraded. Yesterday and the day before I was reading the article in the East Anglian Daily Times. They had a big piece about a possible tidal surge, and at the end of it the Coast Guard was saying, well, don't panic, don't get worried about it, not too worried, we'll let you know if anything's really happening. But of course the East Anglian went for sort of a huge article. I don't know whether it was in the paper, it's certainly online, and obviously worried this lady Chris, and I think Chris, you don't need to be worried. They actually downgraded it pretty rapidly. I looked at the Felixstowe News video from December 2013 when we had a decent little surge, but it really only overtopped the prom. So we had a lot of sand and rubbish on the prom. I think a few beach huts got moved about, but nothing very dramatic. It wasn't a particularly bad surge, so I dumped the videos again. Hopefully we won't get much more of that this winter, but you can never tell, can you? But I think the lady was saying she lives by Sea Road, or on Sea Road, and you don't get too many problems on Sea Road. The main problem seems to occur down really at the Fludgers kind of end. That's where the road gets inundated on very rare occasions, but I guess it may happen more. We can't tell, can we? And looking at global warming, well, who knows? Do we need to build more sea defences? You can answer that question if you have an opinion. I don't know whether the Fludgers need sea defences. I have a suspicion it does, and I have a suspicion that if we have any overtopping events this winter, once again poor old Felixstowe Ferry will get it. I hope they don't suffer too much. The mighty Beatles, any time at all. Now, the other day I was reading one of the Felixstowe pages and read a piece from a lady called Jenny Dyke, and Jenny was asking for people's ideas about what kind of small business would work in Felixstowe. She said that she was looking for a small business to start. I think, like most people, when thinking of a small business, she was thinking about a retail operation, and that seems to be what happened. So I wrote to her and I asked her what she was actually up to, and she said, well, I'm in a job at the moment, but it's something I've been thinking about, and I wondered what people actually felt a need for, because that seems like a sensible sensible approach, doesn't it? She said, give people what they want and they will come. Well, hopefully. She said she thinks it will take her some time to find out what she really wants to do and what people think might work. But I think she's taken a really good, let's say, direction to actually finding out what other people think. She thinks that Felixstowe, I think, is quite a prosperous place, having lived here since February, and she said she still thinks there's room for some more independent traders, although that we've already got a good independent trader population. I think we can always welcome more. So that was fascinating, and she's on that Felixstowe, it's a Felixstowe group, is the Felixstowe Facebook page that she's on. And I wish her well with this. I think we'll have another little look at this in a moment or two, because I'm fascinated to see what people have said about what they think we ought to have or what we need in Felixstowe, because there's been quite a few small businesses tried and kind of faded away again, and I'd like to know what you think. Here we go. I was never a fan of Scylla's chat shows, but I loved her voice, didn't you, when she was back in the day? Okay, what someone's just said, a lady called Angela Ashby says we've had a couple of nice new shops open in the town recently. There's the Ruby and Scarlet kitchenware shop, I've been in there, that really is nice. And there's a new Gents Outfitters in the old Felixstowe radio studios, as well as the wharf returning in Great Eastern Square. Heavens, I'll have to go and have a look at the Gents Outfitters, because I need a couple of new shirts. I think I could do with those, so we'll go and have a look at them. And Angela says it's good to see them start up, and I hope they last. The Felixstowe radio music shop would probably do well if it was able to open more often. There are lots of musicians in the town and no shop nearer than Ipswich. Well, don't forget, of course, the Felixstowe radio shop, music shop, is actually above us here at Felixstowe Radio. I'm down in the dungeon just upstairs, the mighty Felixstowe Radio Music Shop, and they're open, I think, limited hours. I'm not absolutely sure what hours they are open. I'll do my best to find out and let you know. So, what other kinds of shops do you think we need? Now, there's been lots of people saying, oh, we need baby clothes shops, oh, we need dress shops. The trouble is, there are so many big shops in Ipswich and in Ipswich's retail parks that sell stuff cheaper than small retailers can do. So what small retailers have to do is to actually find a niche that works for them and that works for their customers, so they can buy stuff that they want, or the customers can buy stuff that they want at a reasonable price. I have to say that when you buy stuff in Felixstowe, sometimes you can pay a lot more than you can pay for more or less the same stuff in a big store in Ipswich. It's a bit sad, but it's one of those facts about dealing with smaller retailers. If smaller retailers are selling products that are more niche or more difficult to source, maybe, or more of interest to a specific audience, and if they can combine that with a good marketing campaign, I think shops could do very well indeed. It depends what you're onto or what you're into. Okay, you're listening to Felixstowe Radio on 107.5 FM. You can text us on 011 385 90690, starting your message with letters FXR. You can email us. That will come through to studio@felixstoweradio.org.uk. And you can also, of course, hear us on the mighty internet. You go to felixstoweradio.org.uk and have a little hunt around. Oh, good heavens. Have a little hunt around to see what you can find there. You can actually find a place there where we can I'm sorry about this, I'm trying to read a letter that I can't. I'm not a woman, I can't multitask. Okay, I'm trying to read an email that someone's just whizzed in, and we'll see what happens there. We'll have a look at that in a moment. In the meantime, what I was going to say was you can actually hear the show and you can hear Felixstowe Radio by going to the website. That's felixstoweradio.org.uk, and you go listen online and you can hear us. Now there's a surprise. Dusty Springfield. Okay, well, we've had an interesting email this morning, which is actually quite relevant to, I think, probably a lot of us in Felixstowe. I don't know whether you know Rod on the radio, who's a frequent appearer here on Felixstowe Radio. He's got his own show, and Rod on the radio is actually a very nice guy called Rod Dennis. Rod is a little bit of a hero because he used to work for the council and he knows a bit about council stuff, and he's just written in to say, please, pretty please, get your council tax banding checked. He actually applied in August and has just been awarded a rebranding from a B to an A. He says it's a very simple thing to do. All you have to do is visit the valuation officer's, let me read this correctly, the valuation office agency's website, and you can check your property against your neighbours as long as they're the same type of buildings. Or you can contact the agency yourself and they'll actually check it for you. If you do get it changed, then the council tax reimbursement will go back as far as 1993, but it only covers the period of time you've been at that property. My goodness above. So Rod actually went to the agency, said how about it, he checked his details. He actually got 14 years worth of reimbursement for his property council tax. My goodness, I'm going to go round to his and let him buy me a beer at any moment. So, okay, there's a lot more to it than that, but that's a really worthwhile thing to know. Go round, find out about your valuation on your home, for valuation for council tax, that is, with the Valuation Office Agency's website, and you may find that your home's valuation gives you a reband. It's a really interesting one. I'll tell you what, Rod, I'm really grateful to you for sending that in. I'm going to move it through onto another of my email addresses and we'll see what happens. I'll go and dig about into this. I'll have a look at my own as well while I'm at it. For goodness sake, ladies and gentlemen, do have a look and see what you can find out. Can you get some money back from the government? What a lovely idea that would be. Good Lord, that was rather strange, wasn't it? He came in with somewhat of a surprise. So, looking at valuations on your homes for council tax, I'll come back to that in a moment or two, I think, maybe. See if anybody else comes up with a comment on that. Have you checked your home's valuation for council tax? And if so, what did you discover? Can you get some money back? Have you got some money back? We were talking about a nice lady called Jenny Dyke, who was looking at starting a business of some kind in Felixstowe. I don't know, maybe she's keen to lose some money, because some people have. You've got to be careful really about what you start. I was also looking on the Felixstowe group webpage to see what responses she got when she put a post on there. The one thing that came through is that a lot of people come up with the same ideas, and they tend to be ones that have kind of finished really, or that haven't worked, or that have gone bust, or whatever you like to say. Several people have said children's clothes from toddler to teen. Well, there have been several toddlers and baby shops in Felixstowe, and I think they've mostly gone wrong. I think there's one left, is there? But in real terms, shops like that don't seem to make a go of it. Someone said definitely need a sports or leisure shop. Well, heavens. And another person says if JLBs can't make a go of a sports shop in this town, what hope has anyone else got? I think that's quite right, don't you? A little deli? Well, we miss the old deli, don't we, really? I think there's still a couple of sandwich shops, but we miss a deli in the High Street in Hamilton Road. That would be really quite nice. Someone said a Mexican shop, a Mexican restaurant, sorry. Oh, I love it. And a gentleman called Ben Ryan. Ben, what can you say? And Ann Summers. Well, there you go. I'm going to leave that one where it lays. Children's clothes, estate agents, oh yeah, coffee shop and charity shop. I think someone's having a little giggle there. So Jenny, we're going to get in touch with Jenny Dyke again and actually see whether she goes anywhere with her idea to have a business in Felixstowe. If she does run a business in Felixstowe, or if she decides to get to the point where she's going to open one, we'll get her on the show and see what she thinks and see what she's got to say for herself. It will be fascinating to hear. So, there's someone banging away upstairs. Hey, we've got the builders in and they're doing, good Lord, they're hitting that hard. Simon Smith and his Dancing Bear. Simon Smith and his Dancing Bear, and we had another live recording. That's quite unusual, isn't it, really? Okay, so if we hear a bang or two, well, you have to accept that we've got the builders in upstairs and they're having a bash at stuff. What else have people got to say about shops? Well, one lady, in fact, it's not a lady, it's Anne Kearney, who runs the afternoon show on Felixstowe Radio, Drive Time. She is our Drive Time specialist. And she says she misses Woolies, especially at Christmas. Well, actually, I think a lot of people miss Woolies because I guess they really used to cater for an interesting need. If you wanted to buy something and didn't have any idea of what you wanted to buy, you could go in there and find something that would suit every need, I guess. Interesting one, isn't it? Am I on the right mic? No, I'm not. I wasn't on the right mic there. Ladies and gentlemen, I must do something about this, and I'll do it immediately. My apologies for a moment or two of utter silence, I expect. There was probably a lot of people who said, thank goodness for that. But I was just saying that Anne Kearney, the excellent Anne Kearney, what a nice woman she is, she said she misses Woolies, especially at Crimbo. Oh, I see. Okay, fine. I'm reading Facebook while we're doing this. This is not a good idea, Christopher. Stop doing it once. So, she said she misses Woolies, especially at Christmas, because the reality of Christmas, I guess, is that you could have gone into Woolies, and even if you didn't have the vaguest idea in your mind, you could come out with something that would prove a suitable prezi. Heavens, yes. Several people said on Jenny Dyke's topic on Facebook that they miss Fabricate and they wish we had a toy shop. Well, I guess the same thing is true about other kinds of shops. Fabricate, well, there's a little fabric shop on Beach Station Road, which is really nice, I have to say. As far as places like Marks and Sparks, well, I guess they're probably perfectly happy with what they do. A toy shop, well, Toys R Us in Ipswich would probably defeat any shop in Felixstowe on prices, so that's probably not a goer. Matt McMillan, I like your thought on Facebook, I have to tell you. What he says is, why don't we have a Witherspoons? Now I think that's a really, really, really great idea. A Witherspoons would be spot on. Who's on next? And Hugh Vale is on next. He'll be along soon with his beautiful cup of handmade coffee crafted by some barista in town. Probably not, in fact, I don't know what he'll be doing, but he'll stroll in time for 10 o'clock. So, we were just looking at shops for Jenny Dyke, and as I said, we'll try and find out what she eventually decides to do and keep you in touch with that, because that seems, it seems like she's done all her research and she's really worked quite hard to get some decent research off the people of Felixstowe. But I think it's true to say that not many people come up with unique or really different ideas. One of the people who did come up with a different idea, of course, was our good friend Glynis Sweeney, who we had on the programme 2 or 3 weeks ago. But I would like to have more local business people on the programme. If you run a genuinely local business and would like to be on Felixstowe Radio, on Felixstowe, well, get in touch with us. The Facebook page is Felixstowe on Felixstowe. You can send us a message there, or you can put a post up there. I'd love to know whether you'd like to be on the show. Okay, and if you have a unique product, perhaps we'll put it on felixstowenews.tv as well and see what the world thinks of you. Gives you a bit more publicity, and I'm always happy to help decent little local businesses, because I think local businesses need all the help they can get. Jean Pitney. Now, here before me is a site that's, well, it's not pretty, I have to tell you.
No, it's not.
It's not pretty at all. It's someone called Hugh Vale. Now, Hugh is on next. Hugh's just recovering from man flu, and by God, you look ill, Hugh.
Thank you. I dressed up this morning especially to look ill, to get the sympathy vote. The voice is husky enough. Well, I hope it's husky enough. Sorry, I can't hear myself either. Yes, I'm not well. I've had a cold. I've had man flu. I've not been well at all.
I think you've got it wrong this morning, actually, because you're wearing a blue shirt, quite smart, nice.
First one I found this morning.
If you wore a yellow one,
yes,
it makes your complexion look a bit more orangey and horrible. You know, it's not nice, and that's the way to go. You've got to plan these things properly.
My beard this morning as well.
I noticed that. Yeah, I thought
did shave the other chins.
Yeah. Poor Hugh. Now, if you really want to make Hugh's day, send him a message saying, "Get well soon, you poor old devil."
Just send me a message. It could be rude. I don't mind.
Send Hugh Val a rude message.
Abuse me, please.
Abuse him. I think I'm going to cut you off now.
Okay, bye-bye.
It's all too much. So, Hugh Val, up next. Okay, what have we looked at this morning? Well, we have looked this morning to see what young Jenny Dyke can do business-wise in her business. I would like to see Jenny do something interesting and successful, and whatever she does, if she'll give us permission, we'll kind of follow her along a bit and see how she goes on. Perhaps that will encourage other people, perhaps it will put other people off, I don't know, we'll have to find out and see. But in the meantime, let me remind you, this is Felixstowe Radio on 107.5 FM. You can also find us on felixstoweradio.org.uk. You can get in touch with me here in the studio, or in fact you can get in touch with Hugh Vale in the studio and give him a message of whatever kind you like on 011 385 90690, starting your message with letters FXR, Simon and Garfunkel. Keeping the customer satisfied. Well, I hope we're keeping you satisfied this morning on Felixstowe Radio. We've had a bit of feedback, we've had some views and opinions. Let's see, we were looking at Jenny Dyke, who's possibly going to start a shop. Who knows, be fascinating to see. We were just looking at the lovely Hugh Vale, who's coming on next on the radio. And we've also had a think about getting some money back from your council tax. Now that one is really one I want to know about. Have you thought about going to the valuation officer's website and finding out to see if your property is in the correct council tax band? If you haven't, would you do it? If you haven't and you do it, I would love to hear if you get a result, if you get some money back. Don't forget, if you've been living in the same property for a lot of years and your property has been revalued over that time, you may not have been told and you may not have got any money back, and you may be entitled to some money back. So for goodness sake, if you've been living in the same place a long time, i.e. more than a couple of years or a year or two, it might have been revalued. If it's been revalued, you might not have been told, and in fact you could be due for some money back. Young Rod on the radio, got a load of dosh back. What can you say? Good for him. I'm so impressed with him. Lucky old boy. But he actually worked for it. He did the right thing. He went to see if he could get some money back from the council, and he got some. I haven't been to Orwell Crossing for yonks, actually. It was a jolly nice meal I had there. If you've been to Orwell Crossing, or if you've been to anywhere else unusual and interesting meal-wise, we'd like to know on Felixstowe and Felixstowe. I think we ought to do some restaurant reviews, and then if they're really nice restaurants, I can go and have a meal in some confidence. Okay, so what are we doing with the rest of the day? Well, we've got a couple more questions to ask. One of the questions that I want to ask you about is, what do you think happened to the pond, to our old boating lake at Felixstowe? Well, I'm here to tell you what actually happened to our old boating lake back in Felixstowe is that it's going to be filled in, and so is the cart track. They're both going to be filled in. I'm told that one of our town councillors did try and get to get a bit of a change on that, to get perhaps a bandstand built on the site. But personally, I think it's a bit of a waste. It's a sad fact. Could they have done it again? Could they have rebuilt the pond? I don't know. But I guess it would probably cost as much, or probably cost more than what they're doing, which is essentially just filling it all in, grassing it over, and saying thanks and goodbye. One of the things I was annoyed about on that particular topic was that they said, the council said, what we've done is decided to do this to put in a new extra bit of car parking and a grass event space, and it's going to be a complete new facility for Felixstowe. Well, I have to tell you, I don't think it is, do you? When you look at it, we need facilities for amusement, entertainment and interest on the seafront if we're going to retain any credibility at all as a seaside resort. Now that's the question, are we a seaside resort, or are we just a town full of wrinkly old people like me beside the seaside? Don't know. What do you think? Do you think we ought to have done more with it? I mean, one councillor, a member of Suffolk Coastal District Council, who's responsible for this kind of thing, said, this is a new facility for Felixstowe. Well, it isn't really, it's a new disappearance of a facility for Felixstowe. A bit of car parking on the seafront. Well, I have to tell you, paid for car parking on the seafront is probably used on 6, maybe 7 if we're lucky, 6 or 7 Sundays in July and August, and beyond that, thanks and goodbye. It's a waste of space. It needs to have something else there that's actually going to attract people. People don't mind coming and having to fight for a parking space. Come on. I wish I'd sorted out my dentures this morning. People don't mind coming to Felixstowe and fighting a bit for a parking space, as long as they've got interesting things to do. If we've got more paid for parking spaces that really just remove facilities, is that a benefit to us? To be honest with you guys, I jolly well don't think it is. So, okay, let's get, it's a bit late in the day, I guess, on this programme to do that as an opinion and to have many opinions on it. But if you've got an opinion, I'd still like to hear it. Let's be honest, I'd love to hear what you have to say. The best place you can go to tell me that is the Felixstowe on Felixstowe Facebook page. That's Felixstowe on Felixstowe. Go there and tell me what you think about the changes on the front. It's a bit sad, isn't it, really, to lose the boating pond that we've had, I guess, I don't know, 40 or 50 years, I guess. I don't know how long it's been there. The kart track's certainly not as long, but the kart track was a popular attraction when it was running. And I know that when the pond originally sprung a leak, I think the excellent Stan Harris was talking about taking it over and taking it on as an attraction. He had some ideas for things he could do with the boating lake, and then the leak became too much for Suffolk Coastal to deal with. They threw their hands up in despair, and I have to tell you, I think a lot of us throw our hands up in despair at Suffolk Coastal District Council and go, oh, what are they doing? Okay, next week on the programme, well, it's going to be your choice. What are we going to find to talk about? I don't know, but I'm sure we'll find some interesting things. Herman's Hermits. Hey, it's Herman and the Hermits, and if you can hear some strange little voice in the background, it's that Hugh Vale talking to one of the top people at Felixstowe Radio. This is one of our senior executives. You don't know who she is, but she's Anne Kearney, and if you listen to the afternoon drive time show, you'll hear her then, as well as hearing her slide. No, she's gone. Oh no. I'd hoped we'd get her on the wireless, because she's so rarely on the wireless. It's just amazing. Okay, now I'm going to go. It's time now for the mighty Hugh Vale. He'll be with you for the next hour or two. And I hope you're going to listen to Felixstowe on Felixstowe next week. I'll be back on Wednesday, remembering it's a day nearer Christmas.